Welcome back to another Discover Dunwoody interview. I am Mark Galla, the Director of Marketing of Discover Dunwoody, and you know what we do here on this show. We like to talk to people that impact your life. So if you know someone in the Dunwoody area that is impacting your life that we should talk to, send them our way. You can find us or reach us, better yet, at info@discoverdunwoody.com. info@discoverdunwoody.com. So we're always, as you know, looking for the best people in Dunwoody to talk to, and today is no different. We have a local celebrity. We have Billy Kramer here with us today. Billy, welcome. How are you? You are a local celebrity.
I appreciate that, but I'm okay.
Well, all of you know, if you don't know, Billy owns and operates NFA Burger here in, I like to say the village. Is it technically part of the village?
It's a village.
Okay.
Yep.
And Billy is, we're actually glad, I don't think, it's not lunchtime, is it?
No, we're after.
Yeah, so runs a very busy burger shop here in Dunwoody. And how long has it been open?
3.5 years.
3.5 years. Okay, I've been with Dunwoody for a year.
Okay.
When I started a year ago, one of the team members here said, best burger in Dunwoody is an NFA. So you had already made a huge splash in 2 years. That's impressive.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
So you didn't just start doing burgers. You are, in fact, my notes here say that you have spent 25 years doing shoes, radio, print, and digital media. But what's interesting is print and digital media, those kind of relate. Shoes, what does that mean?
To be fair, shoes was about 10 months of the 25 years.
Just 10 months?
Well, sort of. I mean, my father grew up he was in the shoe business for 55 years. And if you have any people out there who've ever tried Nine West shoes on, he was the person who named the company.
Oh, wow.
He was their first salesperson. Shoes put me and my sisters through college without loans. So when I graduated...
Hey, everybody needs shoes.
Yes. So when I graduated college, I said, all right, I'll give it a shot. It put my family through college, paid the bills, took care of us.
Was it here?
No, I was graduated from Rutgers Camden up in New Jersey.
Okay.
And my only job in the shoe industry, my only post-college job in the shoe industry was working for Wolverine Worldwide, which you might know more as Hush Puppies.
Oh, certainly know them.
Yeah.
So 10 months.
10 months, they moved me to Birmingham. And
Birmingham, England?
I wish.
Or
That would have
London?
been a lot of fun.
What is that?
Actually, I like Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah,
I had a good time. I had a good 10 months there.
Birmingham is hilly. It's a pretty city.
Yeah, no, I had a good time there, but I was never there.
Okay.
I spent most of my time in Atlanta, either in a hotel or on my sister's couch, because that's where the bulk of the stores I was servicing were. And anybody who remembers Parisians, you guys are some of the people in this room are a little too young to know what Parisians is.
Right.
But one of the best department stores in the history of the planet.
Yeah.
And then I would service Belk's and other stores and Abba-Dabbas. And I was spending most of my time in Atlanta, and they wouldn't let me live here. And I was frustrated that I was paying for this apartment in Birmingham that I was never in. I didn't even have furniture. I mean, I was just never there. And so I said, you know what, my sister is pregnant. The Olympics are coming up, and I'm going to Atlanta. So I quit, moved to Atlanta.
Loaded up the truck, and it's not that far, so it didn't take you too long to get
Loaded
here.
up my Honda Accord with Jersey tags and drove down 20.
Came this way. Nice. All right, so radio, print, digital media, give me a quick synopsis. How did that work, and how did you land where you are now?
So I started selling radio for 96 Rock.
Oh, okay.
I always wanted to be in digital media. That was kind of the beginning of, let's say the beginning of the internet, but really the early days.
Absolutely.
And I really loved it. Just Clear Channel wasn't progressing fast enough digitally.
Okay.
And so I left to go work for City Search, Ticketmaster City Search. Wasn't the digital job that I really thought it would be. So I got back into radio at 680 The Fan.
Yep.
Was there for a couple of years, and then ventured out to start my own magazine.
Okay.
And
so there's the print side.
Yep. So there's the print, Georgia Sports Monthly, and Dog Nation magazine.
Oh.
And
wait, you started Dog Nation?
I started Georgia Sports Monthly, and I started a Dog Nation magazine, and then I shut it down. I think there's a new one now or something.
Yeah.
But I did that for a couple of years, and I learned the hard way, A, what it's like to fail in business, and B, what it's like to publish a magazine. It's not easy.
Yeah,
I mean, nothing's easy,
yeah.
but I mean, the idea that the very second that you go to print, that all the mistakes you make are just in print and you can't change them.
That's right.
And that always frustrated me. And I say the best night of sleep I've probably had in my life was the night I decided to stop publishing magazines or doing print. I kept doing digital for Georgia Sports Monthly. But that was kind of like the best night of sleep I think I ever had.
Wow. Yeah. It's not like social media when you post something that's wrong, you go edit it.
Or delete it or whatever.
Right.
I remember the first magazine we published, the first copy, me and my business partner, we drove up to Trenton, Georgia, which you have to go into Tennessee to get there. And
That part of Georgia.
And there was a printing facility on a retention pond. The retention pond was a color that I've never seen before. I don't even want to know what's growing in that thing. But I'm pretty sure all of the chemicals were just dumped into the printing chemicals. Were there.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, so we go inside and I pick up the first copy and I'm so excited and I open to a page, just a random page, and there's a misspelled word in the title. And I was just, I'm like, you're talking about your heart sinking.
Deflating.
I mean, and I turned to my business partner, who was the editor, and I'm like, hey, how do you spell this word? And he told me, I'm like, yeah, we messed that up. Now all eyes were on it. It wasn't his fault. I mean, we all proofread it, but it was just one of those things, and you learn pretty quickly that you can't change what's in print. So
That is.
So it was an interesting and fun couple of years. I got to meet some good people. I threw football with Sonny Perdue in the governor's office. He almost threw it over my head out a window onto the Capitol lawn.
Wow.
We met Billy Payne, just a lot of really interesting people.
Yeah, that's good.
Jeff Francoeur, and just a lot of interesting people in the Georgia sports community. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was nice.
But I moved on to digital media and was much happier. Much happier doing digital media.
It's not in print.
No.
No, I love that.
No.
So when you were starting up NFA, you shared with me that you were doing pop-ups. Describe what a pop-up is and how did that help you start the business?
Well, I've been interested in burgers during my travels in digital media, and then I started practicing making burgers at home.
So when you were interested in burgers, that mean that every time you were someplace, you were trying to find a local burger joint?
Yes, I would ask a concierge, I would ask a friend, and when Instagram and Twitter started becoming more popular, I would reach out to people in cities and I'd say, like, hey, I'm in New York, tell me 3 burger places I should hit. And then a lot of these people would want to meet, they'd want to meet up. They're like, oh, I love burgers too, let's go meet up for burgers. So I meet people in LA or Chicago or Toronto or London or New York or wherever, and we would just meet. And the interesting thing is that they were all fairly normal people. So it was a little scary to meet strangers.
Normal people eat burgers for the
right, but it's a little interesting to meet strangers on social media. But I don't know why the burger community was.
They're all game. Let's get together.
They just want to have burgers, so we would meet up and have burgers.
I like that.
So I started practicing at home on how to make a great burger. And then I left the digital. I was forcibly left the digital media industry. It turns out you can only have a conversation with your boss so many times that he doesn't want to hear.
Right.
I was right, by the is
we're sure you were.
Every time.
Yep. We all agree.
Anyway, so I did a pop-up at Battle and Brew. So a pop-up is pretty much you don't have a restaurant, or you have a restaurant, but you want to go cook food somewhere else. So you might do it at another venue, like Battle and Brew here in Sandy Springs, just down the street.
Okay.
Or Galla's Pizza, I did a bunch of pop-ups, or Big Sky in Buckhead.
And so do you drop a bunch of information on social or wherever you're following and say, hey, I'm going to be here, come see me? Is that how that works?
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. So my first pop-up ever, I did a Battle and Brew. I posted a message, and the general manager of Battle and Brew came back in the kitchen after about 30 minutes, and he said, we haven't had one order that wasn't for a burger, your burger. So the whole menu was whole menu was available.
Right.
And that was the first time I learned, that was the first time I'd been in a commercial kitchen, which was the idea of doing the pop-up. I wanted to see if I liked it before I started moving further down the road.
And whether you got the chops and whether your product is good. It was like, I see it as product testing.
Yeah. I would say this, if you had any burger, and I've told everybody this, if you had a burger after the first 10, they were terrible. just the equipment wasn't right for the volume we were doing. The servers were taking all the orders at once. So you imagine 100 people going into a building and then all ordering at the same time.
Yeah, that's impossible
right.
to serve.
So I know that now.
Yeah.
But back then I was like, oh, that's really cool. There's tickets all the way down the rail.
Yeah.
And everybody in the kitchen who worked at Battle and Brew was freaking out.
Right.
And I'm like, oh no, this is awesome. They're like, no man, you got to get burgers out. You got to get them
Yeah,
out. You
yeah,
got to get them out.
yeah. They want them warm.
You know, and so they weren't smash burgers after the first 10. The grill just wasn't hot enough, and we were moving too fast, and
Sure.
and nobody would tell me how bad they were. To this day, and
Everybody said
sometimes I'll meet somebody at NFA, and they'll like, "Oh, I was at your Battle and Brew pop-up." I'm like, "Oh, this is going to be way better." I just tell them
That
flat
was not
out.
good.
I'm like, "That was not good. I'm just telling you right now, this is actually going to be way better."
Wow.
And I think there are people there who are afraid to come for a burger because, like, really, that guy makes good burgers? Because that was terrible.
Yeah.
And they were right. They'd be right if they said that.
See,
But
it's so frustrating in something like that. But, which worked out because you are notably, you've won a bunch of awards. Who's recognized you for awards so far?
well, we've been fortunate. The AJC twice, 20 and 2022. Atlanta Magazine, I think it's 2020 and 2022. Thrillist, top 47 burgers in the country. Reader's Digest, best in Georgia. Food and Wine, best in Georgia. But I will say this, and I don't mean this to sound like cheesy, but the reality is that the best burger in the world is the burger you like the best. So the idea that somebody in a magazine wrote about us or somebody voted for us, it means a lot because it brings people into the store.
It does, of
and
course.
I'm able to pay my staff well
Right.
and take care of them and take
Right.
care of my family. But the reality is that if you don't like our burger, the word is worthless.
Right.
Right. So it doesn't really mean anything.
But it does get people in the door.
Gets people in the door, gets people into Dunwoody, which I get excited about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like bringing people into the village who've never been. If they want
The
dessert,
village is changing greatly. I mean, it's evolving constantly now.
it's amazing. David Avis and his group are transforming it in their little portion of.
I can't
Dunwoody
tell you
Village.
how many times I've had a burger and walked across and had a drink with
Yeah.
David afterwards.
You can do the other way around too. By the way, you can go get a drink and bring it over to our
I can walk over with a drink?
Yeah, open container in
Oh.
Dunwoody Village.
Wow, fantastic.
But yeah, so it's transforming. I like when somebody comes and they say, "Oh, I'm from Villa Rica." I'm like, "Wow, you came all the way here for a burger?" They're like, "Yeah." I said, "Look, don't leave Dunwoody without having gelato from Novo Cucina, or don't leave
Wow.
the village without going and having a drink at Barn, or going over to Dunwoody Tavern, or don't leave without some desserts from Breadwinner." Like
Cookies at Breadwinner.
Yes,
Fantastic.
if you came all that way, don't just narrow it down to what you're doing at our picnic tables.
I think that's brilliant. I love that.
Experience what we're doing here, because that's the fun part of being a business.
Experience what we're doing here.
Yeah.
I love that. There's a new tagline somewhere in there. I think that's brilliant. I really love that. Well, the awards have proven that your time there at Battle and Brew has evolved into a great product. And when you walk into NFA Burger now to order, your system works well because you get one order at a time, and so the orders line up in a way that they're not all coming at once.
No.
There's probably some beauty in the way the folks order. But I'm going to tell you, I think that you could be bigger.
It's possible, and we could expand, and we're always looking at doing it. But we like anybody who's watching this has been to Taqueria del Sol. We kind of unintentionally modeled ourselves after what they do.
Okay.
You go, there's a line, it moves pretty quickly. You're rarely waiting for a table. The food comes out pretty quickly. You have a good time, and then you leave, and more people come right behind you. So it doesn't really matter how big we get or decide to grow. Like Taqueria del Sol has 4 or 5 or 6 locations, but the model is the same.
Right.
It's not. The idea is not to take every order at once. The order is to make every order as perfect as possible.
In that system, and I see it like a funnel. You get everybody to come through this funnel, and you're able to pace your orders based on that funnel. And you can't go through that funnel too fast. I would see that if I walk in NFA and I see 15 people in front of me, I can immediately judge this. I don't want to wait this long.
That's right.
And that's not a bad thing.
No, I mean, your time is valuable.
Yeah.
If you have time to wait, and like I said, I'll go to Taqueria del Sol. If it's a Friday night and I have time to wait in line with a margarita,
Yep.
I have time to wait in line with a
That's not a
margarita.
bad
If I
thing.
am in a hurry, I just make a pivot and I go down the street and eat somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of the idea. I met a restaurant
cool.
owner at one of my pop-ups. Her name is Tal Baum. She owns Aziza and a bunch of other restaurants in Atlanta. And she said to me one day during a pop-up, she said, before you take a customer's money, they're on their own time. Once you take their money, they're on your time, or you're on their time. And so I take that at heart, because if you're in line, you have the decision of whether or not you want to go somewhere else.
I'm not officially married to you yet. Once I give you my money, there's a commitment.
But then I'm on the hook.
Right.
Right, and then I have to make sure you're getting your food in a proper amount of time. So we kind of purposely pace it out. I mean, a lot of these things happen because of a lot of systems we have in place are because of how we handled COVID. We'd only been in business 4 months before COVID. So everything we did was kind of to, keep people, just at a proper distance and moving quickly so no one's hanging around
Right.
a long time. And then we
Even the little panels there at the ordering station,
Yeah.
I can tell from COVID.
You would think those panels mean something.
Well, we're going to talk about burgers.
Right.
So there's a certain kind of burger you serve, and it's a smash burger. What is a smash burger, and why serve that?
So when I was practicing making burgers, I did a lot of research, and it wasn't just eating burgers. I was reading books and watching videos, and I decided if I was going to make a burger, like what are the pet peeves I have when I go out to restaurants? And one of the pet peeves is I like my burger medium rare. A pub burger I like medium rare.
Sure.
Never comes out medium rare. Like
Right.
it's extremely, no pun intended, rare that you get your burger the proper way, cooked the
Right.
proper way.
Right.
And so
Well, let me ask you, did it come out more well done or less done?
it just
It was all over
It was
the
just all
place.
over the place.
Okay, right.
There was a burger place here in Dunwoody that's no longer here that I went to probably 4 times and never once got out of there without sending my burger back twice. So I thought about those pet peeves. I thought about, what's frustrating about bacon. When you have a giant strip of bacon and you take a bite and it comes out of the
Yeah.
out of the bun.
Right.
You got to put it back, or you eat the bacon. Then you don't have bacon in every bite. So a lot of the things I just created this checklist of, okay, how can I make a burger that would be the same every time? And so smash burger is just a technique based on the Maillard reaction, and if you do it properly, it's the same every time.
Okay. In preparation of a smash burger, it literally is smashed.
Correct.
And it comes out, flatter. In fact, I look at the edges, and the edges are thinner. Maybe there's a little more meat in the middle, is there? Or are they typically the same thickness?
We create our own smasher.
This is very technical.
This is very technical. Well, so you guys were a part of the Burger Benefit. You were
Right.
sponsors. So we had 20 chefs come from around the country and cook smash
That's awesome.
burgers. And the fun thing about watching these people from all over the country cook smash burgers was probably only 2 of us did it the same way. Everybody had their own little technique. One would use spatula, and one would rub around the edges to make sure you got the crisp, and some would do it another way, and some had the 2 spatulas. And it was just interesting to watch 20 different people cook the same burger and come out with very similar results.
Well,
So
I can't see, in my mind, I saw one way to make a smash burger, but
I mean, the technique is the same of smashing and getting the perfect sear, but how you're doing it. So we created I created a custom smasher. And the idea with the custom smasher was I wanted it to be the same every time.
Yeah.
I didn't want,
quality control.
right, I didn't want, the thought in my head was, if I made one burger this way, could I make 10 this way for my family and friends? Could I make 100, if I had, we did a pop-up at the farmer's market, Father's Day of 2018.
Okay.
So if I was going to cook 100 burgers, could I do it the same every time, for those 100 people and so forth? So now when we go to NFA, it's, fortunately it's, a lot more than a couple hundred a week. And
How many burgers are you selling a week?
no comment.
Oh,
Enough.
Yeah. We
Enough.
finally got to a question you won't answer.
Enough.
I like that.
Enough, to make my staff happy and to make me happy.
Yeah,
and enough to be happy.
Yeah,
I mean, the reality is that it's not about selling 1 million burgers. I'd rather sell 1,000 burgers that are perfect than 1 million that are terrible or average. Personally, I mean, I know there's people out there who would rather have the money from the million, but.
So let me ask you a question about the smash burger.
Sure.
You smash it, it's getting, and I call it caramelization. There's probably a better word for it, right? So you're the bottom part, and you're going to flip it, and so larger surface area of the burger is going to be caramelized, and caramelization creates taste. Is it a taste thing, or is it a consistency thing that makes that smash burger so awesome?
I think it's both. Personally, for us.
Yeah.
I think it's just you don't have to worry about medium rare. It's always well done. Yeah. But the trick here with the
well done safer,
right? With the record, the trick with the smash burger is that well done doesn't mean no fat or no juice.
Right.
Right. It just means that it's cooked through. It's cooked through. It's quick.
Yeah.
If there was no line at NFA.
Do you put a top on them and let them steam in there a little bit, or do they?
We have a different kind of grill where we do the cheese part.
Okay.
But when I first opened, I had probably 20 cheese melting domes, right? We just put
that's called melting dome?
I don't know. Whatever somebody calls
That's what you call
I call it that.
I like it. Okay.
I'm not a cook or a chef, so I always equate myself, and not to Tom Cruise, but in the movie Days of Thunder, where he didn't understand all of the lingo in racing, right?
Right.
I'm that guy. I don't know any of the lingo.
But you were racing.
So I kind of just make up my own lingo, and it's everybody else. It's up to everybody else to either understand it or explain to me what I'm saying is wrong.
Oh, that's funny. So you started doing shoes some few years ago. You did the digital. You did the print. What would be different today if you had started NFA Burger instead of selling shoes?
Well, I was always fascinated with process. My sisters and my brother grew up kind of working in fast food in high school. And so we were friends with a franchise owner, a McDonald's franchise owner, and a Wendy's franchise owner. One of the first Wendy's franchise owners around ever. He was friends with Dave Thomas. And
Dave Thomas is the founder of Wendy's.
So I was always kind of, not always around, but when I would go there, they would show me the manual, and I would read the manual. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. It's 80 seconds from the time you get to the counter to get your burger. And
that's amazing.
And I was just like, I thought it was just very fun.
Yeah.
But I never really thought about being in the fast food industry at all. It was never a thought. I thought I was going to be in sales, which my dad was a salesman.
Sure.
And so I just thought that's my path, and I like selling, and I like talking.
In a way,
if you haven't figured that out yet,
you're still selling.
Yeah, so I am selling. It's just more direct, more instant gratification, and more direct feedback, which I prefer. So what would be different today? I'd probably have 100 NFAs already, and they probably would be not very good. They probably would be average, because back then I didn't understand the kitchen. I didn't understand the quality. I didn't understand the importance of performing certain functions in a kitchen. It's why when I go to a restaurant, like when I was traveling, I would go to Emmy Squared, and I would talk to Matt Hyland. He's the co-founder of Emmy Squared. We have a couple now in Atlanta. And I would ask him questions. I was on the phone with him yesterday asking him questions, because that's a guy you want to talk to. That's a chef who was making one of the best pizzas and burgers in New York. And so, meeting guys like that or other chefs, just always asking questions. Back then, I never would have done any of that. It would have been, McDonald's puts out a burger and it sits in that chute for less than 4 minutes. And most people have never seen what an old McDonald's looked like, but it had these chutes, and you would go up and get your burger, and they would just put it in a bag and hand it to you. Yeah. There was no waiting. So I probably would have done something more like that.
Yeah.
And whereas McDonald's has a very consistent product, it's not the best product.
Right.
And so that's probably where I would have done things a little differently. But now I'm focused more on the quality and the customer experience.
So if I could, I'm going to translate this a little bit. It sounds like you're saying that your experience in doing all the other things, including doing the print, doing the digital, all the experiences that came along with that as you're trying burgers along the way brought you to a point where you make a better burger than you would have if you had gone straight into it. So that experience really is valuable.
100%. I think when you're younger, I'll give an example. When I interviewed at 96 Rock, they wanted me to go to another market because I had never been in sales, radio sales. They wanted me to go to like Auburn or some other market and learn. And I was like, no, man, I've been around sales my whole life. I can do this. And I basically just, wore them down until they hired me.
But being in sales,
right. But the reality is that there is, there are people who probably start off in those smaller markets and came to Atlanta and probably had a much shorter ramp up period and understood more about, how to bird dog leads and how to talk to customers and do those things. And so there's a value to getting experience.
Right.
But there are restaurant owners like Grand Champion Barbecue, Robert Owens. He's been cooking since he was 16. I mean, whether it's at home or with his grandmother's recipes or doing whatever in the kitchen, right? So I just never was around any of that and didn't really care, quite frankly. My mom was a good cook and there was no need for me to figure it out.
Yeah.
She was doing a great job.
Right.
There
you are, Mom. You loved your food.
I did. I did.
Well, that is, I think, very interesting stuff there. And I want to wrap up with one last question, and that is, we've talked about a lot of things, and I hope that this brings up something new because we may have even hit this already. But what part of your work makes you the most proud?
I know I'm sitting here at a Discover Dunwoody interview, and I'm not placating anybody or making blowing smoke. But one of the things that makes me very happy is bringing people into the community that never thought of coming to Dunwoody. Or only thought of Dunwoody for a certain reason. Maybe it's a family. We can do a lot of family reunions in Dunwoody.
We do.
Which is great. We have a lot of great hotels here. But to bring somebody from, again, Villa Rica or Rome, Georgia, or Argentina or Miami, and to bring them into what we're doing is a lot of fun. And to see the look on their face when they show up and they go, I don't understand why I'm at a gas station eating burgers, but we're going to go ahead and do this anyway. And then I get to talk to them, and we get to figure out why they're there and what they're doing. Or they might be at Children's Healthcare with a loved one in the hospital, and they want some comfort food. There was just a lot of reasons to come here, and I'm happy to be in the area to provide it.
Oh, I love that. So I asked you all the questions I wanted to ask you, and there's one I missed.
Okay.
What does NFA stand for?
That's the last question?
That's it. You got to wait all the way to the end to get this question.
It stands for not fooling around.
Not fooling around. How the heck did you, I like it, but is there a story behind that?
A little bit of a story. First off, my original Instagram is Billy's Burgers. There is a Bill's or a Billy's Burgers or Billy's that sells burgers in every city and every state in the country.
It is kind of catchy.
But when I thought about if I started a restaurant, if I were to franchise, I really wouldn't be able to go to any city ever.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to.
Right, so I'd have to be a different name. So I thought, I tried to think of a different name, and I'm pretty sure I was arguing with somebody on some kind of customer service thing. I apologize if they knew who they are. But I think it was 6 years ago, almost exactly. And I just said, I'm not fooling around. And then I got off the phone and I looked at my wife. I'm like, I'm gonna get that domain name. I think that's a good burger name, NFA Burger. And that was it.
There we go.
Yep.
I love that. I knew it meant not fooling around, but I didn't hear the story behind that. So if you're looking for Not Fooling Around Burger, where can they find you? And they want to learn more about you and NFA Burger.
Well, you can go to NFAburger.com. You can go to NFA Burger on all social media. But you could also come to 5465 Chamblee Dunwoody Road in Dunwoody and try it yourself.
I like that. So great thing for marketers. NFAburger.com.
It's easy.
You got that. You got that that domain. It wasn't one that people were fighting for.
No, not yet.
And I love it. I love it. Well, Billy, thanks for coming to see us.
Thanks for having me.
We so appreciate you and the things that you do for our city. The big burger benefit was not long ago. That was great. You're breathing life into our community, and we really appreciate it.
I appreciate what you guys do. Thank you.
Absolutely. So folks, we appreciate you being here. Once again, I'm Mark Galvin, and this show is produced by Discover Dunwoody. Our producer is Madison Holtz. Our sound engineer is Emily Inser Gibson. Reminder, if you're looking for one of our Done stickers, we handed these out at the 4th of July parade. You can find them at City Hall or at the library or here in our office, or you may be able to find them at NFA Burger, because I may put a few of these into Billy's pocket as he walks out. On behalf of the entire Discover Dunwoody team, thanks for watching. Be sure to follow us on social media, and you can find us everywhere. Just simply the handle Discover Dunwoody, or go to our website, discoverdunwoody.com. Until next time, enjoy the day and come discover Dunwoody.